Greetings Bond fans, and welcome back to a new episode and the channel of Some Bond Geek Talks About with me, your host, Henry Stevens. Everybody, how do you do? I hope you're enjoying a good Bond film, a good Bond book, a good Bond video game, a good Bond graphic novel, a good Bond piece of music, whatever Bond related. I hope you're enjoying it very well. And before we get on to today's subjects, we're going to have to do a little house cleaning here on the channel. If you're not already a subscriber, may I ask, why not? Why don't you go click on the subscribe button, click also on the notification bell icon to receive future updates and videos. And also, everybody, if you're interested in the audio only version of this episode, because maybe you haven't got time to watch a YouTube video, you want to listen to it while you're working out or on your way to on a long commute to work, you can get the Some Geek Talks About podcast, which has all the Bond episodes on this as well, which you can listen to and enjoy for yourself. But today, everybody, what we're going to be discussing is the second James Bond film, the very well famous From Russia with Love, the sequel to Dr. No. And here is my first initial reaction and thoughts on it, basically. You know what? This film is often considered like one of those ultimate spy classics. You know, it's like one of the greatest in the spy genre. And I ask myself this. Does it actually deserve that title? Has it earned it? Is it really like one of these great spy thrillers of all time? And honestly, yes, I really think so. But we're going to go into that in a bit more detail, because before we talk about it as well, I always like to introduce a bit of a personal side of me towards you, you know, my connection, because this channel is all about this Bond fan's journey in life with James Bond. And when I think of this film, really what comes to my head is such happy memories of watching it with my grandfather. I grew up a lot with my grandfather around. He used to live with us, and he loved the Bond series. He and I used to watch it always together. He loved it. And, you know, Sean Connery was his James Bond, and he loved watching From Russia with Love a lot. So we did watch it quite a lot over the years. So I have got a real emotional soft spot for it. And I always remember him saying what he loved about it was how that it was so intelligent and so smart. Yeah, he felt it was completely understandable. And I'll go into this a bit more later in the interview, everybody. But he adored everything on the train. But I'll get into that further in detail down the line, because despite what you know, this film being like, is it this great, which I think it is, there are some bad points in this film. There are really much. And we'll start off with this, which is something really does glare out for me. I talked about, you know, just now how was it very easy to follow. He always found it easy. I found it easy. But I feel it should be said that this film is slightly known, like maybe a bit hard to follow. A bit hard to like, okay, this is happening. I'm getting a bit lost here. I have known people who have watched this film, some of my friends in the past, who have got a bit lost with this movie about, you know, what's happening here. Does this person know this? But we know, just getting a bit mixed up. I think it's fair to say that this film can be a bit confusing and a bit complicated at times. Now, myself, I have never found it that personally, but I do fully admit that that is a problem maybe with From Russia with Love. But one problem I really do have with this movie is the main Bond girl, Tatiana Romanova, because for me, you've just come off Dr. No with the amazing Ursula Andress playing Honey Rider, a real sophisticated, very complex and damaged character who can stand up on her own a bit as well, and just really a force. And then you follow it on with Tatiana Romanova. Now, I know she's obeying orders from SPECTRE, not knowing, and she's being like this, but I find she's just such a weak character, the perfect example of not such great strong characters people think the Bond series has, which is completely wrong. But this film sort of shows that not so strong female herring character, and it's a bit annoying really compared to what we've just had, and we've gone really now to Tatiana Romanova. It's a bit annoying really. But hey, that's what happens, isn't it? Let's talk about the good points now in this film, because there are so many. Let's start with this. If you could sum up this film in one word to me, it would be about manipulation. Manipulation perfectly, I think, describes this film. It's all about manipulating the British, manipulating the Russians, manipulating, you know, from SPECTRE and all that stuff. It's all about that, and, you know, the misdirection. Just, I think if you're going to do a spy film, manipulation is really at its core what it's about. And I think it's done so well in this movie. It really is just utterly fantastic. Again, I've never found the story confusing. I've always understood, what the story's about, what Spectre's trying to do, what the bad guy plot is, what Bond is thinking, how he's falling for it and all that stuff. I think it's never been that much of an issue for me, even as a young age when I saw this. And I think I saw this about roughly when I was about 7 or 8, when I first saw From Russia with Love for the first time. I understood it back then, but that's really one of the things about that. We've got to also talk about the cast, because, oh my god, the cast is so incredible in this film. Let's just get it right the way. Obviously, Sean Connery is just perfection in this movie. If I was to have a vote, I'd say that From Russia with Love is his best performance as Bond. That, without a shadow of a doubt in my mind. But, let's just go. Obviously, you got Bernard Lee as M, always fantastic. You've also got the return of Sylvia Trench, which I really like, everybody. Lois Maxwell, terrific. But what we also get in this film is amazing supporting cast and villains. So let's just go into it. Right now, off the bat, this film, ladies and gentlemen, is the origin of Desmond Llewellyn as Q, the man who would carry on until his death after The World's Not Enough. Rest in peace, good sir. Just terrific. The whole scene of Bond getting the gadget with the briefcase with all the little stuff in it is just wonderful. I watched this film again last night, and just the smile that it brought to my face just thinking about this was just utterly incredible. So I'm really glad. It's a great scene just to introduce him, and I think he does get a bit more fleshed out in the next film, Goldfinger, but we'll get to that eventually, okay, everybody. But it was really great. But let's talk about the villains. Now, you've got Lotte Lenya as Rosa Klebb, a great, little villain here. Weird enough, doesn't do much, but what a presence she has in this movie. Really is great. People are gonna kill me, but I can't remember the name of Kronsteen. But again, he's a really great actor, a great sort of manipulator. I think his opening when you see him in the chess perfectly sets him up as his sort of brain function, what sort of character he is. And when he was in the SPECTRE meeting, everybody, it was just really, really cool to see him in that as well, with Lotte Lenya against Blofeld. And obviously, we do not know who Blofeld was in that. We know, Bond fans, we know who Blofeld is. But in comparison to that, we've also got Red Grant, Robert Shaw, and Pedro Armendáriz as Kerim Bey. I want to go into these two in a bit more detail here because they are fantastic. They nearly steal the film from Sean Connery. Let's just quickly go with Pedro Armendáriz. I think Kerim Bey is one of the greatest ally characters in the entire Bond franchise. Without a shadow of a doubt in my mind, he is such a intriguing, interesting, very smart, very intelligent character. This film has, Bond with a lot of great intelligent characters, with Bond being intelligent himself. It really does lend to this whole real sophistication in the spy business. Like when Kerim Bey, uses his sons, part of his business, blood is the only true security in this sort of line of business. And everyone's so really intelligent and smart. It's really, really great to see. But Red Grant, Robert Shaw, is without a doubt one of the greatest Bond characters ever. And I really do mean that. I love Red Grant. As one of the henchmen, I have to have him. He's probably my number one henchman in the series I can really think of at this point. He's so smart, so sophisticated, so dangerous, so intriguing. Everything when Bond is on the not Orient Express, Bond's on the train, with Red Grant, the dinner sequence, the fight scene. Oh my god, I'll get into that in a bit, but Red Grant is such an interesting and brilliant character, such a presence on screen. When you meet him in the pre-title sequence, when you think he's killing Bond, it's such a perfect introduction to him. Because when you think it is Bond at the beginning and him killing Bond, it just sets up the character so well, but I really love it. And let's just talk about the train sequence. I'm going to say this right now. I don't know why, but hear me with me, people. Whenever Bond is on a train in the series, I think it's some of the best in the entire franchise. I don't know what it is. I cannot understand it myself. But when Bond is on a train in the movies, it's always brilliant. From here to Spectre, because I can't talk about No Time to Die because it's not been out yet at the time of this recording. Please be out this October, please. It's just terrific. Everything in this, from the, conversations they have, the dinner sequence, the bit before they fight, the talking about stuff, and Bond realising he's just been a pawn in Spectre's game. The fight on the train is just terrific as well, with everything in it. And also that horrible, horrible death of Kerim Bey just hits you like a gut punch. It really does. I mean, this film really makes you care for every single good guy character in this film. And the gypsy sequence, a lot of people complain about the gypsy sequence. I think it's literally just fantastic, one of the really standout moments, and one of the iconography moments of this whole scene. And I've also got to talk about the music here. Oh my god, From Russia with Love is one of the greatest soundtracks in the Bond franchise, without a shadow of a doubt in my mind. It's just so wonderful to listen to. The opening title sequence, with that, the belly dancer and that lovely From Russia with Love music, the music that carries on throughout the film. From Russia with Love is one of those soundtracks I will listen to just happily, whether I'm driving in my car to work or not listening to the podcast version of this episode. I love the From Russia with Love soundtrack. It's such a wonderful, momentous thing. And if any of you are wondering, yes, I am aware about the From Russia with Love video game. I will review it down the line as well. But I really want to open up to the fact also, to end on that, this film really starts, I think, virtually all the traditional Bond tropes they all sort of have here now. We've, of course, in Doctor No, we had the gun barrel and the title sequence, and setting up what M's briefings like, the Moneypenny connections, and all that sort of things. This one we also added in now the pre-title sequence. All the Bond ingredients, all the staples of the franchise you can think about start in this movie, and they have their own spin, their own take on it. Just everybody, From Russia with Love is one of the, I think, without a doubt, one of the greatest spy thrillers of all time. I think the story is intelligent and incredibly exciting. The locations of it are really, really great. I think Istanbul is just one of the greatest Bond locations ever. The story, is intriguing. The Bond tropes are all here. We get introduced to so many new things that set up for future down the line. The characters are terrific. Everything about this film, just for me, is hitting off on all cylinders. Talk about a sequel that surpasses the first film, the original Doctor No. But everybody, that's my opinion on From Russia with Love. But I want to know, everybody, what do you think about it? Do you agree with me with the thoughts about From Russia with Love? I really want to know. Comment down below and tell me what you think about this film. As always, everybody, my name's Henry Stevens. This has been some Bond Geek Talks About. Goodbye.